God, I'm just bringing reality. I can't wait till I can be in a position to get an electric car. I was really surprised by that number. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to TechTalk. Oh, thank you for all coming on this dreary, dreary morning. If you're going out, be careful because everything is slick, right, Michael?
You know what? I had to walk on the streets this morning because sidewalks were almost impassable.
I was walking on the snow, yes, until I thought I was clear, and I wasn't. So,
Did you fall?
I did, but I got the salt out in time for everybody else that came in the office, so I feel better, I think. Oh, so listen, folks, just before I get going, I wanted to let you know of some of the stuff that's coming up. Don't forget at 11 o'clock today, we have a back-end training, right? So that you figure out how to get articles and blogs and events and everything in there and optimized, right? Because Ivan shows you all those little tricks. Not big time on the SEO on this, but shows you all the tricks. And then at 12:30, we have the Women's Business Club, and it's our long meeting today. And we're going to be talking about networking. Go figure, eh? Talk about networking on a networking, you know. And then we are to Monday, which is a coffee with Ivan. And then we always have our members lounge discussion right after that. So that's 9:30 to 10. And then the discussion is 10:30 to 11:30. I was going to cut you down to 45 minutes there, Ivan.
Everybody tries to. It's okay. No one can stop me from talking.
Yeah. And then on Tuesday at 9:30, we have Money Matters with Nathan. Nathan, can you give us a quick little what you're going to be doing?
Yeah, it's going to be pretty brief. We're just going to be talking a little bit about, basic investment strategies and giving people sort of like a very high level, tutorial and have a conversation around it. It's going to be very informal, unstructured, just have a quick discussion and, field any questions that may come up in the conversation.
Excellent. I can't wait. And then what a busy day, eh? The secret sauce is at 12:30 with Jennifer and Jackie. And I think it's Jackie's turn to be talking this week. So you don't want to miss how they're building on every week. And then, of course, on Wednesday is investing with Yuri Nesbitt, right? He's got quite an unusual eye at looking at it, and he's pretty aggressive, I must say. Assertive. We don't want to say the wrong words, right?
Yes.
Assertive with his mindset on how to do things and what can be done, and he's got that vision, right? Which is like, wow, Yuri, you're impressive here. And then we have that evening, we have virtual networking with Kitchener, KW, at 5 to 6:30. Right? Did I miss anything important, Ivan?
No, that's everything. It's good. Nicely done.
Can I ask a question?
Certainly can.
Did I see something about some in-person networking thing coming up at some point in the future?
Hamilton.
Here at Hamilton.
February 23rd, we're up at Stone Road, Bar and Grill up on Concession from 5 to 7 p.m.
That's right. Live.
Be there or be
Oh, can't wait.
That's kind of square. Yeah. So, Michael mentioned something really odd, like not odd, but astounding. Just before we started the show, that he had read an article saying that how likely are you to buy an electric car in your next purchase? And it was 14%, Michael?
Yeah, it was just something I heard on the radio. I was just turning on my car and the rate caught this thing sort of at the end.
Yeah.
And was surprised that, only 14% would make their next car electric.
Anybody have an electric car right now? No. Anybody planning on getting, like, when you're ready to,
Yeah,
I know. I
before I buy an electric, I gotta buy one more internal combustion. It's gonna be, like a Charger red eye where it's like 700-800 horsepower. I gotta lay down some rubber before I switch over to the battery. Like that's.
Well, there's always going to be gas stations for people like you with those.
I'm hoping, but I mean, the cars might not, because I mean, manufacturer time would just ripping right out of the whole internal combustion game, right? So I mean, then what happens, right? So
True.
That happens. I got to make sure I have one sitting in the garage because, and then I still have to get my 1970 Chevelle SS. That has to still happen. I have to find one and get it in the garage. It might take a lifetime to restore, but I still want it.
There you go.
So before I go electric, those are my two things.
And that's why
I'm ready to convert now.
Yeah.
Sorry, Teresa?
I'm ready to convert now.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
I would say on Thomas's thing that there is nothing like a V8.
A carbureted V8 at that.
Goodness.
Carburetors, yeah.
You know what, Kathryn? The Mercedes has a vehicle that goes 1,000 kilometers on a charge. That's kind of in the ballpark of where it would need to be before I would get an electric.
Yeah.
Right.
Even before
and they're getting up there.
It's the infrastructure too, right? I mean, I'm not just the one just saying it anymore. I've had a number of conversations with people saying, like, we don't have the electricity or the capacity to, if everybody goes electric and just flips the switch, we're going to have to start buying diesel generators so we can charge our cars at home. So it defeats the purpose. Like, we don't have the infrastructure to do it. Or people are going to have
getting Michael on hydrogen here.
Rolling black.
Well, I will make a comment on that, though. California was either in the fall or last summer. They actually had to tell people, do not charge your car because our grid is overloaded. We don't have the capacity because, in the summer, what happens? Everyone turns on their air conditioners. So there's a high load on the grid. And then all these people are going to come home at 5 o'clock and all plug in their car at the same time. And it was overloading their grid. They're like,
and the problem that happened with and I'm sure it's not even just here, but it's everywhere. It's the green energy is great. Your windmills, your solar, but the thing is that there's no place to store it. So once if on a good day, they can produce the intended output in a very short period of time, and then they have to shut them down or else they're going to overthrow the grid. They're actually going to pump in too much and start shutting things down.
Well, they actually made a comment that they were going to make they're asking OPG to look at another level for charging, like that's cheaper, so that overnight when they're making so much electricity that they can't use it and end up either selling it off or, I guess, dumping it.
But the other point, Kathryn, too, is that there's nowhere to store all this extra energy. That's why we, in Ontario, for specific reasons, when we give those contracts to the states where we're basically selling it to them to take it, it's because we don't have a choice. If we don't give it off, we're going to overthrow our network. So there's no storage of it. We need to. So we've got.
And you're right. That does have to be addressed.
Yeah, we have all the energy producing methods, but now we have to find a place and a way to store it all. So we have all this extra and to gradually release it back into the system, because if it comes in a huge spike, well, then it just blows everything up. And we're back to 2003 where we take out half.
The brownouts, blackouts.
And Thomas, you're correct about that, especially in Ontario on Sundays, to some extent Saturdays also, but on Sundays, we often pay New York, Pennsylvania, and Ohio to take hydro off of our grid.
And that's why we still keep paying the rates that we're paying. I mean, they dropped over the last year, but compared to what we should be paying with all the energy we're producing, if we had storage capability, we wouldn't be making those types of contracts, and we'd be able to have a lot more. And then we could start to tote, hey, we are a green alternative, because not only are we making it, we're storing it and using it. We're not just dumping it off to the lowest bidder.
Well, hopefully,
can I just throw something in here? So Elon Musk has created these big hubs for storage, right?
Not big enough.
Those
are just for home.
It says here that no. He has these. It looks like a massive giga station, right, out there that he's storing all his solar energy, right? But think about this: if you have a house and you have an electric vehicle, then what if you were to just put up a small solar array? And all that solar array does is charge your vehicle, right? Yeah, I mean, we're talking about future cars today using yesterday's technology to charge it, when we know that the grid is going to get overloaded. So why not if you have an electric vehicle, put in your solar array and charge your vehicle. And that way you're running your vehicle for basically zero, right? Forever.
Well, that's what the Powerwall is designed for, that Tesla designed, right? It's like,
that's exactly it.
You can set up solar panels on the top of your house. You store the energy with these, I think they're called Powerwalls. I saw somebody do a video about them. And then it's a combination of, it helps power your house, it charges your car, and you can also sell it back to the grid. So if you can, if that scales, and you've got, say, you know, if the way, I mean, it's sort of a trickle effect, right? If everyone gets an electric vehicle, eventually everyone else is probably going to, you know, migrate to solar power. And you know, it's like saying, like, well, not everybody has indoor plumbing 150 years ago, right? Well, yeah, no duh, but eventually every house is going to get there.
That's right, exactly.
And by changing user, you know, habits as well, right? And that's what they're.
Oh yeah, that's huge.
That, you know, for Ontario government to think of that, like, kudos to them. I didn't think they would be that forward thinking, but anyway, this was supposed to be talking about quiet Maggie. I can see that you just want to say something. I wanted to talk about the heat pumps in Tesla, because I've been hearing a lot about their failure. And of course, 'tis the season, right? So you're going to hear, Michael says, what do you do in the summer? I go, ask me in 3 months. Okay. I'll tell you about that. Cool. I'm just looking at the heat pump. And what a heat pump is meant for in the car is that it will provide heat to the internal cabin of the car, right? Which allows you to defrost, defog, and all that wonderful stuff. But what's happening is, because of the cold, extreme cold temperatures, for example, one of them was in Winnipeg, the -40, a flap froze closed or open. I don't remember. Isn't that awful? It's probably important too.
I'm thinking closed.
Yeah.
And didn't allow the heat pump to stay warm from when it's plugged in, and so wasn't able to heat the cabin of the vehicle, which again, not only is super uncomfortable, right? Even though you know you're dressed for -40, the kids are coming out in snow pants anyway, but it becomes dangerous. You know, you're inside and all of a sudden you're fogging up with your breath and all that. You're fogging up your windows. You're not able to defrost the back or keep it, you know, that way. So it becomes quite dangerous. And they've been aware of it since the end of December. They had a update in software. And of course, Tesla does everything over the air, right? And they started noticing that there were issues. And apparently it's because they've changed firms. But it started with the 3s and then went to the Ys. And so now they're still a month and a half later, right? Still having problems. So as I was, you know, heat pump this and heat pump that, then I started going down this, like a TikTok rabbit hole almost, about heat pumps. There is a Norwegian company called Freshco, right? And they, being from where they are the perfect ones to test cold weather vehicles. And they've come up with a system that not only keeps this heat pump going when you're charging your vehicle, it's almost like plugging your car in if you were up north, right? With the heater, battery heater, right?
Yeah,
block heater. Thank you. That's the term. It's been a long time since I've been in any of those environments. So like a block heater, so it doesn't take as much juice to get going. For electric cars, it means it's going to take less juice from your efficiency, right? So it'll help keep your mileage up. And it keeps those batteries warm so that it gets you a more even mileage. Or just like Michael was saying, that he has a coworker in the office, right? That took 3 stops to get to Ottawa.
Yep. Because
of the cold weather and charging. Right. And so, yeah, that's got to suck, especially with little ones in the back screaming. Right. Yeah. A few of us can relate to that. I don't know. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with this Tesla, but hopefully they get their act together, because these other guys are coming out. This Norwegian Freshco, 1,000K.
Yeah.
600 miles, right? It was the only one I didn't have to do the conversions, because it actually gave me the metric stuff. It was like, thank God. I'm tired of doing, 341 miles equals. And for Teresa, this is for Teresa. It is not a minivan. It's an 8-seater SUV. How's that?
Yay!
Yeah, and it still gets the 100,000, right?
For all those kids that we're gonna have.
Yeah. So it allows Candace to bring all her little friends with her. Right?
Hey, we had a dance party in the van this morning, so we need the space.
There you go. There you go. And this company has 3 motors, right? So you're going to have good use of the axles, right? And good efficiency on your batteries. The only issue is that it starts at 100,000 Canadian.
Yeah, but you know what, Kathryn, that's actually not a financial block, because if you look at, this sounds like a full-size SUV.
Yeah. So
something comparable would be like a Yukon XL or a Suburban. And those are gas powered, and certainly the Yukon XL, it's around 100,000. So
yeah,
it's actually a comparable cost. It's not a
Grand Wagoneers are the same thing, right? So
yep.
Yeah, the Volvo XC40
depends on what you're looking at. That's right.
Grand, right?
Hummers are the exact same price for EV and ICE engines.
Yep.
Like, I was really, really surprised. It's like, really? That's kind of neat to see.
It also depends on the market they're going for. Like, I mean, if they're trying to make it a mass market 100,000 kind of thing, then yeah, probably not. Like, I mean, if they're trying to aim for, comparable to like the Model 3, then no. But I mean, if they're full size and but you said it's an 8-passenger, right? So I mean, they're definitely
8-passenger. Yeah,
there. They're not looking. They're going for the premium market at that point, which it tends to be. That's where most electric car companies start, anyways. Like when they start out as a company, like Tesla did. I mean, the Model S, it started as a 6-figure vehicle, anyways. Like, I mean, and then they brought in the Model 3, the Model Y. Even Fisker, when they started out with the, oddly enough, Karma car, their Karma, even though it went belly up, I mean, all projected price points were going to be 80 to 120,000 on it anyway.
USD.
You got to pay for your technology, right? And then you can have that trickle down effect.
Exactly.
I mean, and it's always been, any feature you see on a vehicle, it's always been first on the high end.
Oh yeah.
Vehicles like air conditioning, when it first came out, it was on the high end. Airbags, intermittent wipers, like all those features start at your high end vehicles. They get a critical mass making. Actually, luxury vehicles are actually the guinea pigs, right? Because that's where the bugs get found. And then once it's good enough for mass market, it just goes out, and now you get that volume, and so now you got the affordability.
Look at the Mustang Mach-E, right? I mean, yeah, I know Ford hasn't really put much, but they've also have they have the backing from all their internal combustion and all their R&D, but they're able to start in the mass market segment and put the Mach-E's at 45, 50K, supposed to be outside of their dealership markup things that apparently happen now. But I mean, and then Chrysler's supposed to have the airflow that's supposed to come out. GM and Ford both have their fully electric pickup trucks. So, I mean, they are...
Well, not for a couple of years, but they're coming.
No, but, I mean, they've introduced them. They're rolling them out. I mean, it's not always... There's alternatives coming out that are from other markets.
Let me just give you an introduction to the Fresco XL, which is the one that we're talking about, the 8-seater here. You guys seeing this?
Oh, yes.
Yep.
Believe me, that was the most informative part of that video.
Yeah,
I want one.
I watched it.
Take my money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That light that goes all the way across, that is absolutely.
Yeah. I know. That is not your sister aunt's minivan, right? Teresa would be super cool. In fact, I think Ivan would be fighting her for the SUV.
To be honest, the lights are the only good thing about it. I thought it was boring and ugly looking.
All they showed us.
That's right. They didn't take it
so clean. So clean. I want one.
I don't like it.
Yeah,
cool.
I like it.
It doesn't look like an SUV. An
SUV,
you can't stick anything in the back of that thing with the sloping roof.
Like
it doesn't have very much.
That's why they're making a Silverado for you, Michael.
No, I don't want Silverado. I'm a Yukon XL. I'm a suburban type of guy.
Gotcha.
I don't want to pick up.
Hey, my next vehicle is going to require my legs. It's in pedal power. You're getting a new bike.
AI's coming. Hold on. Yeah.
I was going to say, like, I totally hear you on this, Maggie. Like, I think it's like a bad thing from Back to the Future that it's like, this is what futuristic cars are going to be. And this is what they made it. Like an updated DeLorean that we're all just going to hop in this thing and we're hoverboarding down the road. Like,
hover.
Crazy.
Look at the imagination on this one, eh? Hovering.
Kind of feels derivative of what we saw from that, was it that Hyundai exhibition that you showed us a couple weeks from CES where they showed all the pods that were like floating around on the streets and they were like coming in and out of people's like houses or apartments or whatever?
Yeah.
That reminds me of that same aesthetic.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, well, for me, Michael, I'm always just, sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Thomas.
For me, I'm always skeptical when it comes to the design, to the production, because I always remember what the Volt was supposed to look like and what they gave us.
Yeah.
Well, but how many of us have seen those throwbacks on what expos looked like in the 50s and the 60s and
absolutely.
And what they thought that we would be doing now, right?
But I mean, that's just it. Like, that's why I see all these, see all these CAD rendered, even that Project Aero. I love seeing the drawings and the designs, and I hope for the best, but I'm thinking, that's no better than the Volt on the Detroit International Auto Show stage. Probably a decade ago. It looked like the Camaro. It was supposed to be this beautiful, sexy thing competing with the Model S, and then they
brought out a Gremlin.
They gave us this vomit of puke that they had to throw together to see. The old saying, they just threw shit on the wall and they saw what stuck. That's what happened. And they put it out there,
and they called
and then they wonder why it didn't sell.
The Volt's done, right? They don't make the Volt anymore.
The Volt is done. The Volt apparently is still going, or I don't know.
So the one with the V is done.
Okay. Yeah, the V's done. The way out. Now it's the B. Now we're the B, and I don't know where it is in the future. It'll probably disappear when they electrify all their models, which is really their goal, right? Like we've already seen the
going electric by 2024. Then they have the Silverado rolling out. So yeah, it's just a matter of time. I mean, they're
well, and here's a look at the Hummer, because it is the one that came out this year.
Yep.
Right, in 2022. They have the better one coming out later in 2022. So God forbid you were the guinea pig at the beginning of 22.
Well, I think one of the big differences is going to be the battery, because I think they're going to introduce that battery we were talking about a few weeks ago. I think the first battery is just the lithium-ion one, and the next one is that that next generation one we were talking about. I think that's one of the big differences.
Yeah, the solid states. Yeah.
And then I think there's tweaks and features and functions that are coming out on the. It happens a lot of times nowadays too, especially with all the shortages, right? I mean, you've got cars now stripping out features because they don't have all the chips to hold off. I mean, heated seats are no longer available, and rain
only in North American cars, okay?
But here's the thing: a lot of times that's happening, and even so, best example too is the Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer. For the first 6 months of its release, they've only released half the trim models with half the features. So as of next month, they're releasing the rest of the trim lines and the full lineup of features and like product and trim lines. Yeah. So I mean, a lot of manufacturers are doing it because when they're doing that, I guess the rollout and R&D still, they want to make sure they don't have everything out there to have to try and extinguish every fire, right? So.
Yeah, that's right. So we were talking about the Hummer, and again, it's one of their luxuries. As you were talking about, they're the same price. They're American. They're both $99,900 US, right? So it's 130,000 Canadian. No, sorry, 130. And it's got, let's see, 3 motors, right, for the axles. It gets 350 miles to the charge or 560 kilometers. But again, who knows with if you're driving it on tarmac, or you're going to really play with it. I can't imagine taking $100,000 car through a quarry. But anyway.
I think it also has to do with, if I'm not mistaken, the horsepower and the towing capacity on that thing are, for an electric vehicle, are just ridiculous.
And that's exactly what the issue with the Silverado. And I have a feeling that's probably why it's still another 2 years. But let me just set this up for you. Because again,
I thought the Silverado was being released this coming fall.
They're saying 24.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. Hold on for a second here. Let me just I got it. I just had to set that up for you. Screen one. Share. You're seeing the screen?
Yep.
Oh, now, yeah.
Okay.
Introducing the next all-electric super truck. The revolutionary GMC Hummer EV SUV. If one super truck can change the world, imagine what two can do. Be among the first to own the revolutionary GMC Hummer EV SUV.
There you go. The crab walk's cool, but I mean, anybody should have been able to get through that.
I'm going to have Zeppelin stuck in my head for the rest of the day.
What's that?
I'm going to have Led Zeppelin stuck in my head for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
That's right.
Could be a lot
worse. The nice thing
worse.
is about living around here is that I haven't seen the EV Hummer, but I always get to see some of the engineering vehicles because there's so many engineers that live in Windsor and then commute stateside. So I'll always see them in their camouflage wrapping, and some of them are actually in my parents' neighborhood more than anything. So the other day I was looking around and I saw a couple of them, and I'm going to cause an accident because I'm always turning my head back and forth next to them while I'm still driving, and it's just so...
Yeah, my brother-in-law has retired, but he used to be a mechanical engineer for TRW, which does the braking system of the big three. Yep. And because they do all three, there's nothing on them, and then they're destroyed after they do whatever. And I know you can see these things come home, and of course they got all these roll cages in them. And,
Well, we also still have the R&D Center for Chrysler, for FCA, Chrysler, whatever. I mean, and it's partnered with the University of Windsor. So when I drive past there used to be a point where their back lot used to be full of concepts and everything. Now it's fairly empty. But every time I do see a car, again, same thing. I'm trying to drive straight. I step my head back and then I feel myself veering. I'm like, I'm going to kill somebody. But I sometimes feel like it's worth it because if I catch a concept car, it
was cool to look at. Yeah. So Michael, I didn't get a video for the Silverado, but it says that the 2024, it will be coming out. It'll have two motors to the axles, and we're looking at 400 miles or 650 kilometers.
Yeah, but they do have a video for it. I've actually seen it. It's in that same site where you probably got the Hummer one from. Okay. You had to do a little bit of clicking through there, and there is one for the Silverado, and there's also one for the Cadillac Escalade in there too.
Well, I thought I did that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, maybe that's where I saw it, but it was when I went in there, that's when I saw all the other ones too. They're all there.
The V in the front is the headlight.
Yep.
Yeah. And they didn't have a price for the new Silverados coming out in 2022 or 24, I'm sorry, but a 2022 Silverado starts at 53, right? And I'm sure that's vinyl seats and, AM radio, but
they don't make those anymore.
Oh, no? Okay. I wondered how they got them so cheap.
The cheap version now is cloth seats.
Oh, you
don't get the leather, you get cloth instead.
Got you.
And then you don't get the little toys like your You know, you don't have your 8-way power seat. You have the little knob on the side to do lumbar and stuff like that. Mechanical backs, right? So I don't know if people remember the old mechanical adjustable bucket seats. You know, you'd lift the lever, and if you would happen to be stupid enough to do it while you're moving, and the seat fall all the way back, and you're trying to get yourself adjusted while you're still driving.
I got in a 2014 this morning. My husband took my car because he's taking his dad out. And went, oh yeah, there's no buttons to move my seat. Had to reach down, pull that lever up. I mean, it's quite easy to slide forward, but it's like, oh yeah, don't remember that.
So he bought the base model.
Yeah, well, no, it was mine. It wasn't the base model at the time. It was a pretty good one. I love getting the newer cars. But anyway, so Kathryn found her next car. Okay. It is the Hyundai Ioniq 5. They're only getting about 415 kilometers right now, but they're supposed to be coming out with these long travel batteries, right? Which are supposed to give another 40%. So that would be really decent. I mean, I do a 1.3 kilometer commute each way, right? 2.6 kilometers a day. This would be plenty for me. But I like what Hyundai does, because and that's why we switched to Kias and Hyundais. They were so forward thinking, right? Like Bluetooth. We've had a Bluetooth car since 2010. Like, it's never been an option. It was always part of the package, with heated seats and heated steering wheel. And as you get older, I know it sounds ridiculous when I was 25, but when I was 50 and my fingers did this in the wintertime, you know, it was nice to have that extra stuff. So here, I'm just going to show you some of this because it's pretty neat. They show a little bit on the outside, and then I'll run it forward to show you some on the inside. Oh, I keep covering. I'm moving my script around, and it keeps covering all the important stuff. I don't know how that works, you know?
Everything you thought you knew about electric vehicles. The first ever Ioniq 5 from Hyundai offers incredible driving range confidence, all-wheel drive capability, and impressive interior space and technology throughout. The stunning aerodynamic design is built around clean lines and ultra-modern minimalism. From front to back, the unique LED pixel light design is bold and bright, while the distinctive V-shape catches your eye. The active air intakes don't just give it a high-tech look, they also improve energy efficiency. From the side, the flush door handles and fractal wheel design keep the look clean and sleek. The Ioniq 5 offers impressive driving range and performance. With 2 battery choices, you can travel up to 354 or 488 kilometers. When charging with a 350 kilowatt DC fast charger, it can be charged from 10 to 80% in just 18 minutes, while a 5-minute charge will give you a range of up to 100 kilometers. Its advanced battery is ready for Canadian winters. The battery temperature management system pre-warms the battery while the vehicle is connected to the charger to help maximize performance and minimize cold temperature range loss. And the heat pump system helps improve HVAC efficiency, which reduces power demands to heat the cabin and lessens the effect cold weather has on overall vehicle range. Drive with confidence in any season. The available H-Track all-wheel drive system lets you take on tough terrain while enjoying the benefits of an electric vehicle.
Okay, so let me just run this forward a little bit because Hyundai's not paying me for this. 309. Oops.
This great city has been created in partnership with Hyundai Automotive.
Oh, yeah, really? That's you can go and play my...
That make the Ioniq 5 feel spacious. The Vision roof provides a greater sense of openness. There's no shortage of exciting technology in the Ioniq 5. Access your playlists, podcasts, and more with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You can monitor and manage many of the Ioniq 5 features with the 12.3-inch touchscreen, like the surround view monitor and the ability to map out your distance to nearby charging stations. The 12.3-inch full digital instrument cluster offers a colorful and crisp view of your gauges and provides important driver information like energy flow. Meanwhile, the augmented reality head-up display lets you see important information like turn-by-turn navigation while you keep your eyes focused on the road. Elevate your drive with the Bose premium sound system. And our BlueLink app connects you to your Ioniq 5 via your smartphone to remotely access a wealth of features and information. You can remotely set your climate, check your charge status and remaining battery range, remotely charge, unlock or lock the doors, and more. The Ioniq 5 also helps you park safely and easily with remote smart parking assist. The Ioniq 5 isn't just a vehicle, it's also a power station thanks to the V2L capability, which enables bi-directional charging so you can use or charge any electronic devices, such as electric bicycles, scooters, camping equipment, and more. The Ioniq 5's roomy interior and flat floor aren't the only innovations that let you carry more cargo.
Okay, I had to, like who doesn't want the coffee pot, right? Attached to your car? Like, come on. Nobody else is excited about that?
I don't really like coffee, so not excited.
Yeah. Nice. But again, they're thinking again, right? Like I remember when I think it's a GM right now that has that parking assist right now as well, or is it just the Hyundai?
I think it's just Hyundai that has where you get out and it actually parks itself in a tight spot kind of thing. Is that?
Yeah, and that's what I can really. At first, I thought, what in God's name do you need this for? But I have found when I park my car in my parking garage, I park it for just the driver getting in and out, right? Well, this morning, my husband decided we decided to switch cars, and I looked and went, you got to pull out so I can get in. So if somebody had done that to me as a driver, I could have pulled the car out and not had to get all dirty and try and squeeze, all that kind of stuff. I actually just
keep thinking about, I think it was a Super Bowl commercial that first introduced it. You had John Krasinski and Chris Evans with a Boston accent talking about parking their car, and yeah, it was just, I thought it was pretty funny. So
that would be, yeah. So
well, that's how you get the big SUV into the small space too. You use that crab walk.
Yeah, because I'm thinking getting around. They should have used a better example because getting around that other was ridiculous. Anybody should be able to do that, or they shouldn't be able to drive, right?
And how we've talked about how other cars have had it in past lifetimes and all that. All-wheel steering, the Dodge Stealth had that. Years and years, early 90s, the Dodge Stealth, which was the Mitsubishi 3000 GT, I believe it was. There's a rebadge because at the time they were both. Mm-hmm. But yeah, all-wheel steering. I mean, I don't think it was to that extent. I don't think it turned that far, but there was all-wheel steering on as an option. So
and GM had it in their full-size SUVs and pickups. I'm going to say it was early 2000s. They had it for about 3 or 4 model years, and they found that there was some issues with software and stuff, so it was an option that was dropped.
I can imagine it's also, if you don't have the right mechanical for it, if something drops and your tires lock in that, you're not able to drive it either. Like, I mean, if it locks up on that turn, because I mean, your tires are going to turn, say, 15 degrees. You're not able to drive straight at that point if something breaks or pops. So you got to make sure you have the right systems in place to make sure that the parts are in there and there's a very minimal chance of a breakdown point when you're in that position. So,
and I think the earlier version of that also, Thomas, was like if you turned the front wheels left, it turned the right wheels opposite, sort of. So your car would have like a greater arc and to swing out. It was sort of like opposite end steering for tight areas and like hooking up trailers and stuff like that, where you might have sort of less room.
Right, and they have that now too. They even have the trailer assist now on the Ford side, on the Ford pickup lines. They have the trailer assist and everything. Which again,
for people like me,
depends if all 4 tires are turning. Then you've got all-wheel steering there again too, right? So
yeah. One thing I really like too is, and I didn't realize, the counterpart to the Hyundai Ioniq 5 is the Kia EV6, and they're coming out with rear wheel drive, because it doesn't take as much power. I had no idea. Right? And what did they call it? Long battery? Yeah, the long battery. That's long range battery. That's what they're calling it.
Actually, rear-wheel drive in an electric car actually might work better because, when they put it in cars in the front wheel, it was all about that heavy engine in the front, right, to give you better traction and everything. But with the electric vehicles, you actually have those batteries down in the floor. So you do have the weight like more evenly distributed, and probably makes it cheaper too, because now they don't have to have drive wheels on the front. So it gets rid of the U joints on the front wheels if they do it as a two-wheel drive only.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that part I don't know, but yeah, I was like, a rear-wheel drive. Wow, that's amazing. Can't think of the last time we had, unless you were in one of these performance vehicles like Thomas has been talking about, right?
And that's also actually for Thomas. They're doing that for Thomas also, because one thing that I've seen, and it's in the Mustang EV vehicle, is the guy smoking up his rubber on a Mustang electric vehicle, and it's the rear wheels spinning.
Well, they still have the launch. They have that launch mode now, right, on most electric cars, right, where you basically you push the button, you grab on the wheel, and you say your last few words just in case something goes wrong, right? But essentially, you do have a launch mode. I mean, they started it in a few gas powered, like the Audi R8 had that and everything, but a lot of, like Teslas have got the launch mode. And I guess that thing just takes you right. I mean, it sucks up some battery, but that thing it spits you right out kind of thing, right? So.
Well, it's funny you say that, because the guy who was doing the test on the EV6, they didn't let him out on the road. They kept him on the top of a parkade, right? The roof. But because they have different modes for driving, right? They have a sport mode. And then they put it into the I, because it takes care of it. It's the one with the regenerative braking that you guys were talking about. And this thing took off, and you could see it throw him into the back of the seat. And it's like, man, that's a little Kia.
No, it is. It's something else when that launch mode is actually it launches. Like they're not lying when that thing does what it's supposed to. So it is something else. Now, I'd still rather be launched out of a V10 R8 as opposed to a Tesla Model S, but beggars can't be choosers. I'll see what it's like. So
that's right. I'll try both and let you know which one, right? And then, of course, for Ivan, I just wanted to let him know that they do have a XC40 recharge, it's called, and it's a Volvo, the 2022. I will show you. I just have a pic of it. I don't.
It is very nice.
Yeah. Oh, have you seen it, Teresa? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there. Right. So it looks pretty sure. And the really neat thing is that oops, little delay on my computer there. Sorry. You guys are seeing that?
Yep.
Yeah. It's like 450 kilometers, right? And for that kind of money, you can get even the Polestar is like, and the Mustang, the Mach-E that you were talking about.
Yep. Yeah, you don't get the best, but I think it's name brand.
Yeah, you're paying for the Volvo. That's right. Sorry, Thomas?
As long as the dealers don't put that Mach-E markup, because I don't understand what they're doing, but some dealers in the States are tacking on like a 20 to 50 grand on top of the sticker price, and it's just it's ridiculous. But yeah, I don't understand it. I don't know if it's something that can't be done in Canada, but in the States, apparently, a dealer can basically, here's the MSRP that would normally sell for. Oh, that's a car that's in demand. Whack, throws on another 20 to 50. They did it with the Mach-E. Who else? There's other vehicles that they were talking about. The Mach-E, the Broncos, all the Broncos when they came out for Ford. And actually, I read an article from a car site that I typically read from. And so one of the writers reached out to a Ford executive about this. And he goes, the Ford executive was like, just buy the Model 3. Because he knows he can't control these things because it's out of their control. So this dealer markup is actually out of the control of the manufacturer. It has something to do with the rules and regulations of the dealership networks. Wow. I have not read into it. I don't know. I read that article where the executive's like, yeah, just just buy the Model E or the Model 3. You're better.
It's happening in Canada too. It's kind of funny.
Oh, really?
I was on Trader last night looking at just the Yukon's brand new ones and stuff. And you can buy a brand new Yukon XL for about 102,000. And there's this listing and those are 2022s. And then there's somebody who had a couple dealerships that had listings up for 2021s, and they wanted 120. So, okay, why would I pay 120 for a 21 when I can get a brand new 22 for $18,000 less? And dealerships are just doing that because they're like, if you go to a dealership nowadays and drive by, there's no cars on the lot, right? They don't have any, most dealerships. And so they'll, well, you really want this car? Well, I know the sticker's 75. Will you pay 80 for it? Because I'll let it go for 80. But not really going to let it go for the sticker. So
the dealerships are always independently owned, right? So it gives them a bit more liberty to sort of do things. And I've not from a purchasing standpoint, but from like a warranty and maintenance standpoint, I've been burned by Toyota twice around them not honoring certain things in their vehicles, and we've gone to like independent mechanics and specialists, and they've all said no, the company should cover this. And then I take it to the dealership because that's where I get these cars serviced. I can't go to a plant and say, fix my car. And they always say, sorry, this is, we're all independently owned and operated. We don't have to honor these warranties once they're passed, or if something is defective, but it didn't really creep up until after the warranty lapse, they don't have to do anything about it. So I'm sure it's the same in the US and in Canada, where they have certain liberties to be able to run their business sort of independently of the manufacturer or the name that's on the side of their door.
Yeah, it goes the same way on discounts, right? Where they're not supposed to sell a vehicle for less than a certain dollars, but sometimes there's a model that wasn't very popular and they just want it off their lot. They don't want to pay the overhead on it anymore. So yeah, you buy an $80,000 vehicle, but you know what? We're going to let it go for 50 because we just want it gone. Like, just get rid of it, get it off our lot, right? Now it's gone the other way because of the chip shortage.
Yeah. And that is still a big problem for manufacturers, especially when we're coming into EVs, right? It's one heck of a thing. And it's going to get, I don't know if it's going to get better or worse because of this just-in-time stuff. The way they've got manufacturing set up where, again, how many of your plants and shifts in
they're done, like, especially right now with the border disruptions.
Well,
and see, that's the thing. It's funny because when just-in-time came out, it was obviously a lot of the Asian manufacturers and like Toyota, Hyundai, they all introduced it. And then North America jumped on the bandwagon. But yet you're still, as you read some of the articles, you come to find out that even some of the Asian automakers, they went against their own just-in-time and actually have found, like, even before the insanity happened, they had started to stockpile certain things. Because you're talking about how some of these manufacturers have almost an 18-month supply of these chips, so they're not really feeling the pinch as much. Where in North America, everything is literally nothing short. You can't have more than 4 hours sitting in the plant, period. So you have a half a shift, that's it. They always come in because the trucks are just dropping them off just in time, right? So that's the thing. As soon as there's a small disruption, everything. That's why feeder plants here in Windsor that are directly in Windsor, because I'm sure that there's a penalty for stateside suppliers too. But so anybody who feeds the plant that builds the Pacifica minivan right now, and then they negotiate different penalties and everything. But I know for one, if they are responsible for a disruption, they have to pay Chrysler $1,000 an hour for every hour that they're responsible for the disruption in production.
Yeah, and it depends what tier you are as well, right?
Yep, that plays a role too. What you produce, different things. So sometimes what some of these suppliers do is that they overproduce and they don't ship it out. They send it into their yard and leave it in trailers and containers in their yard. So they might have an extra hour or two worth of production just in case, like as a blanket, right? So
just in time and just in case, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. What's a different initial in the abbreviation, right?
Yeah.
Jit and Jick.
There you go, right? So
sorry we asked. Oh my goodness. But yeah, and of course if Fort Erie goes down this weekend, then it'll be everybody. It'll be hit hitting that GM and Ford. That's it.
Well, I did hear this morning that some of the plants in Windsor are either shutting down for a day or two, or they've gone to half-time today.
Well, the only real plant that we have affected is the Windsor Assembly that makes the Pacifica minivan. Like everything else are feeder plants, so they might get a little bit of disruption, but it all stems from what happens at Windsor Assembly. And because when it started last week, I think it was Thursday, Friday, they ended up sending everybody home at lunch both days, so they had some production going. I think they actually shut down last week on Friday, they just canceled shifts. Thursday, they tried to shorter shifts. This week so far, they've had, it sounds like it's just, everyone's just kind of went home at different times of the day. They haven't been able to put a full 8 hours in all week so far. So,
yeah. And I'd imagine that would be it. As far as I know, all 3 shifts were canceled for today.
Yeah, and the funny thing is yesterday, for the first time since the whole takeover between FCA and Peugeot to create Stellantis, the CEO of Stellantis toured Windsor Assembly. So he was down here when all this disruption was happening. So it might be a blessing in disguise. You might have a CEO from a company calling up Trudeau saying, maybe you should get out of your hiding hole and maybe talk to some people here and see what you can do. So, and then maybe even call up Doug Ford and be like, you want us to invest? Let's get you, maybe move, leave the donuts down and maybe make some calls. So,
yeah, like I said, if third border goes down, right, it's just
that's just it, right? I mean, Ambassador Bridge is down officially because they had a little bit open up until last night. As of last night, they blocked off the other entrance and all lanes. They've actually extended I guess you could say they extended the line of scrimmage, right? So it used to be just before the bridge. They've actually put it back a whole block, which a block on here online is like 3 actual city blocks. They're the longer stretches of run. So Ambassador Bridge is blocked on both entrances and exits. Blue Water Bridge in Sarnia is essentially closed because it's a 4.5-hour wait to cross because of all the because everybody from supposed to go to Windsor is now being redirected.
So the ferry's not running.
No, and then the tunnel though is actually being they're keeping the tunnel. No one's said anything about the tunnel. No one's done anything to the tunnel, but it's more commuter traffic. It's not, a lot of trucks purposely don't take it because they don't want to be confined in the tunnel. And then for the most part, so it's more commuter traffic. But and it doesn't sound like there's many delays. If you go on the website, it's about a 15-20 minute wait, which is pretty normal for the most part. So
Thomas, how long is it going to be till that new bridge is open? How's that coming along? Is it being built?
They said it was supposed to take 10 years, but then you got to throw in a political side of things. I'm thinking if it happens before I die, it'd be just nice to know. So,
is there any construction on the
there has been construction happening. Don't get me wrong. Like on our side, on the Canadian side, actually, if you drive down a street called Ojibwe Parkway, you can actually see the 2 bases that are supposed to start the bridge on the Canadian side. They're actually I don't know how tall they're supposed to be, but they look like they're pretty much fully erect and ready to keep building onto the next set, right? So there has been quite a bit of Canadian side progress as far as I don't know where they're supposed to be in the construction process, but seeing what I see, there is progress happening, right? American side, can't say for sure. I haven't been over in 2 years, right? So I don't really know, but the last time I was over, they've done a lot of prep work and they've done a lot of work in general just to help out. Even in the Ambassador Bridge side, they've reconstructed that whole area where you get off the bridge and do everything significantly over the last couple of years. So, it's been a huge improvement. And a lot of it was actually done with this new bridge in mind. So it's actually helped out. So it's been I
went through there with the construction and all the construction side said, do not follow GPS. Follow the construction signs. Because otherwise, if you follow GPS, you were doing this.
So they haven't actually started on the span then that goes across the river.
Here's my question though. How long can that bridge hold that weight?
Indefinitely. It's engineered for it.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of things engineered. Tell that to
New
York.
Like during normal traffic volumes. I've sat on that bridge before. Haven't gone across tons of times, but I've sat on that bridge where there was lineups to get into Canada and into Detroit. And the bridge is it's
sure, but now it's got 3 or 4 lanes of transports sitting
on. Yeah, but it would have the same thing even if the trucks were sort of moving and just you were in that normal backlog to get across. So it's engineered for that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know it's supposed to be engineered, but again, I just kind of wonder,
You still get it. Can you get across on foot? Might be faster.
I don't know if you don't. Yeah. I don't know if you'd want to walk that one. That and the Ambassador and the Blue Water, they're quite...
You'd be better off to walk through the tunnel. And they do let pedestrians through the tunnel. There is, I think, a sidewalk in the tunnel for pedestrians. I think so.
Yeah.
See, I don't know. I've never crossed there that I can recall, or maybe I did a million years ago. But I know I've walked over the bridge in the falls.
Oh yeah, but the lower bridge is only a quarter mile, or I don't know what it is.
Not even. It's like,
can you tell my age? That's what we always called it, a quarter mile.
Yeah, and I've done it with like a suitcase and stuff like that. So
I've used the tunnel instead of the Ambassador Bridge because it's faster.
Yeah.
Nobody really goes to the tunnel anymore. It's sort of like a forgotten thing. I know they run city buses and stuff through there. And I've used it just so I don't have to sit on the bridge, and you're through in like 10 minutes. It's way faster.
It depends. It depends, right? I mean, during your peak sporting times, the tunnel is going to be havoc because everything's downtown, and it's in your best interest to take the tunnel there because Little Caesars Arena, Comerica Park, Ford Field, then now you have the casino too, 2 casinos actually. So depending. It's actually, the tunnel can get busy, especially when on both ways. But the only thing that's actually a benefit is that on the state side, there's always far more toll booths open than on the Canadian side. Canadian side, you might have 1 or 2. American side will at least have anywhere between I think there's a total of a dozen booths going in. At least half of them will always be open. So
Thomas, you make sure that you clear that truckers out so that March 2nd, we're down doing the live.
It won't affect us at all, and I can't guarantee that I would not join them if I went down there. So,
I definitely would. I think you all know that.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised I haven't gone. I would have liked to have gone to Ottawa for that first weekend, but didn't have a ride, and Linda had to work that day, so she or no, was it work? No, she had another commitment. I think it was.
Hey, you guys, look at the time.
Yeah.
Can't believe it. It's time to say thank you for making this an interesting conversation again. And I look forward to seeing you all again at 11 o'clock at Ivan's training, right?
Absolutely. You bet. Yes, sir.
Bye, everybody.
All right, everybody. Take care. See you soon.